Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Dr. H. Ruat, and this is the story behind the story. Is there a story behind the Fort Hood shootings, ladies and gentlemen? I would like to tell you, of course there is. You know what? It all goes back to connections at Virginia, and even Virginia Tech. Remember that terrible shooting, ladies and gentlemen? Well, my guest, plural, today will discuss this in depth, and we'll take it into the next hour because, I mean, this is a really important piece of the puzzle. Again, things that you're not going to hear on CNN or any mainstream news, but really important information to let you, the listener, know what's really going on. Don, tell us what you uncovered from your sources and the links to Virginia and Virginia Tech. This is unbelievable. Go ahead.
Well, having done some research on the money situation for the past 3 years, I suspected that what was going on at Fort Hood had to do with money. Now, people would say, well, why an Army base? Well, there was a big stash of money that was stored there for some 15 years that originally came from money that was given to the United States in the form of 10,000 tons of gold that was to back capital that was supposed to be taken to Iraq. And that money ended up in Jordan, was waylaid in Jordan and until a convenient, opportune time to transfer it to Fort Hood. And you would have to suspect that the Bush-Clinton cabal was behind that at the time. Now, why have a PSYOP event take place at Fort Hood? Well, if you're following what's going on with the international payouts in regard to NASARA or any of the prosperity programs, the fact that all the derivatives and hedge funds are being scrutinized worldwide, that attempts have been made in the Caribbean to abscond with bank deposits there and have been thwarted, they have to get that money, and they have to create some kind of a scene that acts as misdirection, acts as a means of getting people to look in the wrong direction so that they don't notice this money's being loaded into, say, a C-130. I suspected it was a C-130 intuitively and got confirmation that the airstrip could handle a plane that size. In fact, we got a later report from one of the Wind Talkers broadcasters in Killeen, Texas, who did see a C-130 leave the airport there, or I should say the airstrip on the base at about 4:30 p.m. that day, the day of the shooting.
Wow.
So my hunch about a connection to some other events was confirmed when I learned that Nadal Malik Hasan, who was recently promoted as a major, even though they're saying he's a vehement protester to being forced to go to Afghanistan. That's all a cover story. I don't think he had any intention of going to Afghanistan, nor did they have an intention to send him there. They have made him the scapegoat, and look at the amount of furor that this is creating again against Muslims, because he is a practicing Muslim, and he is certainly against going there and killing Muslims on behalf of the military. But that was not the issue whatsoever. He was counseling two people, and we learned this from someone there who had privy, or who was privy to this information at the base, that there were two people, a John Smith and a John Henry, who were being counseled by him over a period of 5 weeks. And he was sent in there because they were to be deployed in the very near future. And this was the opportune time to get a false flag event, because they had made statements that they would defend themselves against any attempt to force them to go to Afghanistan. And so this occurred at the barracks there. We knew that there was an event that the media wasn't reporting, and that was the event at the barracks. We had gotten confirmation from numerous sources that there was a shootout there. Dr. Hasan was shot himself. He wasn't shooting people. He wasn't this madman on a rampage. Now, that's That's been the cover story, and they've changed it how many times? And it's not because there was confusion. It's because they had to tailor the lie to be acceptable and palatable to the masses. And they finally turned it just within the last 24 hours into this rage now against Muslims again, that we have to go after them. You see, it justifies what we're doing. And they don't want the fact that many of the rank and file in the military are opposed to fighting this senseless war. They're totally against it. Now, that said, there's a connection with Dr. Hasan to Virginia Tech. As I shared with my listeners when you were on my show last night, I mentioned that he has a biochemistry degree that he acquired at the Center for Applied Behavior Systems, which is a U.S. psychological warfare training center. And that should remind people of the Virginia Tech massacre that occurred in April of 2007. The University of the Health Sciences in Bethesda, Maryland, I should say the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences in Bethesda, is where he received his medical degree in 2001. That is the home of the MK Ultra Mind Control Program.
Yes.
So I hear your music coming up. We can continue.
Yes, Maestro. Yes, you hear the music. You've got a good ear. Ladies and gentlemen, this... And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the story behind the story. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're taking notes and getting all this incredible information. Here we have the information, the background of this so-called shooter, Hasan, a Muslim, yes indeed, but trained where? Back in Virginia at the headquarters of MK Ultra. And here, as Don has so aptly shown, this gentleman is a psychiatrist working on behavior modification, and he's a biochemist. What kind of chemicals are they using? Here we have the reports from inside the base, from inside sources, that Hasan was actually counseling two conscientious objectors that they didn't want to go to be deployed in Afghanistan, and would make a point they would fight anybody that wanted to make them do that. So it's kind of clear that there was some psychops going on, some MK Ultra programming, and apparently these two just had enough. I draw the parallels, ladies and gentlemen, to the movie that was just released, and you need to go watch this. I'm telling you, this is an amazing story called the Men Who Stare at Goats. You got to read the book by the same name by John Ronson to understand the names have been changed, ladies and gentlemen, to protect the guilty, not the innocent. They're changing the names to protect the guilty. They changed the name of the general of the 1st Earth Battalion, Major Albert Stubblebeen. He's prominently displayed in the book, but his name is changed very conveniently in the movie. And the movie is fictionalized, too, in a lot of literary license taken. But, ladies and gentlemen, the bottom line of the truth of the story is, on the Men Who Stare at Goats, there was a experimentation in biochemistry for behavior modification, as documented by Ronson in the book. And in fact, a shooting occurred, just similar to what happened at Fort Hood. And this is shown in the movie, but it's not fiction, ladies and gentlemen. This really happened, as documented in the book and footnoted so very well by Ronson. So that's the story behind the story. It absolutely shows a couple of things. The MK Ultra program is not, I repeat, not extinct, as some in the media would have you believe. Oh, when it was exposed in 1979, 1980, it all ended. No. They want to have high-performance super soldiers, ladies and gentlemen, and things are happening today. And we wonder why, tomorrow is Veterans Day, ladies and gentlemen. as we honor our veterans, we have to wonder, why is there so many suicides?